Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. I'm Halima, and if this is the first time you're watching me, I want to say a big thank you to you. For those of you who have already subscribed to my channel, I want to thank you for your unwavering support. Today's tutorial will be on how to sew a pencil skirt. This tutorial is actually a follow-up lesson on the last week tutorial we did on how to make a skirt pattern. If you haven't watched this video, please make out time to watch that video before you get into this started with this video. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Show your girl some love by hitting the red subscribe button down below and put on your notification bell icon. That way you get notified whenever I upload new videos. But without further ado, can we get down to the working table and let's start. But please stay to the end of this video. So on my table, I've gone ahead to cut the pattern for both the front skirt pattern, for both the front skirt panel and the back skirt panel as shown on the table. Okay, here is the front skirt dart and the back skirt dart of both patterns. And remember, the front skirt is cut on fold. On my back skirt pattern, I made a room for the skirt, for the back skirt, to have what they call the kick plate or the vent, to allow easy movement at the back, and the width of that vent is 1.5 inch, which is an additional provision on the back skirt, and I will explain it in the video later. I will just set aside the back skirt pattern so we can work on the focus on the front skirt pattern, then later come back to explain the back skirts. Okay, now it's time for us to do our darts. So we need to transfer our darts to the fabrics. This is how I do my own darts measurement. If you have a better way of doing it, let me know. I'll go ahead and measure out my darts on the fabric and put a mark on that direction, and measure out and indicate the dart distance, then draw out my dart legs in this direction as shown. So please do follow my direction on how I do my own dart and make yours on the fabrics. The next thing I'll do is to pin out the dart on both sides of the skirt pattern as shown on the table. And just follow what you have drawn as your dart leg and pin out the direction, and don't forget to sew along that direction that you have pinned as indicated with my hands on both sides. Just follow that direction and sew the dart leg. The next thing we need to work on now is our back skirt pattern. As you can see, our back skirt pattern has a zip provision for a zip allowance, but I went ahead to add my vents directly close to the zip allowance, and the vent distance is 7 inch by 2 inch. Please, your vent depends on what you want your back slit to be. It could varies from 6.5 to 8 inch. I usually do not like a high vent, so I made my own vent to be 7 inch. 7 inch from the M line, and then you measure out the vent and put it directly close to the, attach it to the zip direction, close to the zip direction, and follow my illustration to create your own vent. There is no right or wrong way doing this vent. It's totally up to what you want. I made a slant of 1/2 inch and connected to that point, then start cutting along that line. And on the back panel now, we need to also transfer our dart position. This is how I'm going to transfer the dart position on the back panel. So please do your own dart position the best way you know how to do it, but this is how I'm going to be doing my own dart position. So just follow this illustration, watch how I do my dart transfer, and I will impute my dart distance and also draw the dart leg to help create the dart Please do your own dart on the skirt back borders as shown. Next step is to pin the darts together. So we have to pin the darts we have already created on the back skirt pattern on both sides of the skirt. So feel free to pin your darts as by following the dart leg you created, and let's get to the next step of sewing all the darts we have made both on the panels. So this is the final look of the dart positions. The next thing we have to do now is to head to the sewing machine to get the dart created. So the next thing I did was to sew the darts on the skirt panels for both the front skirt panel and the back skirt panel together. I went ahead to match both panel together so I can place a pin along the side seams to keep the fabric in place, and also show you the direction through the pin where the pins have been placed as the mark point for sewing. So follow that pin directions to do your sewing as a sewing guide when using your machine. So I'll be heading down to my sewing machine now to do the side seam together, and I'll show you what it looks like after sewing it. Thank you. Okay, now I'm using my sewing machine to join this process together. As you can see, just see what I'm doing, and we'll quickly finish up this process and tidy up the zip panel, the center back panel. Okay, the next step we need to do now is to tidy up our skirt by finishing the raw edge along the center back, either by using a zigzag stitch or an overlocker, just to prevent it from fraying. So the next step is to go to the vent area and secure the raw edge by sewing 1/2 inch along the line. See my ruler direction and the pin direction in sewing down the 1/2 inch, and also do the same thing on the other side too. So we've just finished that process and we're about to work on the zip area. So here is my zip, matching zip. I've gone ahead to mark out the zip length on the skirt pattern as shown, and indicated that with a mark, and made a guideline along the zip line just to help beginners guide them through when trying to sew their own pattern and the direction to which they should follow. The next thing we need to do now is to get to the sewing machine and start sewing. So after that, sewing along the zip line, just as I explained, using the guideline to help beginners. Just see what I do. So just see what I do and sew along. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please give me your support. So you can see our skirt is gradually taking shape. What we have left now is to fix the zip at the opening outlet that is left. We're going to fix our invisible zip on it. Just to bring to your notice, one thing is the kick plate. The kick plate on this skirt, that's the vent direction. You can see, sew along that direction. You're going to sew a loose stitch along that direction just to give you a seam line outwardly, where you're going to go ahead and top stitch it properly. So you flip it outwardly and then find out that seam line there using the pin direction to get the particular location you will sew it outwardly. I'll flip my skirt outwardly in order to trace out the diagonal line I explained to you, to make the kick plate look brilliant. So I've just gone ahead to sew along that line. Please do follow the same process and sew along that particular line. Then we'll move to the zip direction. I'll go ahead and fix my zip and come back and show you. Okay, I've gone ahead to fix my invisible zip, and this is the final look of the zip. The zip looks very good and well seated on the following the procedure I've explained. I took a look at the vent direction just to show you how the vent looks like, and also the vent is well positioned. So let's move to the next step in fixing the skirt band. So the next thing we need to do now is this waistband. I've gone ahead to cut my waistband and add an interfacing to it. As you can see, I used the lightweight interfacing and I cut my waist measurement on the fabric, which is 36. I did add a seam allowance for my zip, which is 1 inch, and also added the sewing allowance, ½ inch. Go ahead and do the same thing. Cut your own waist measurement and follow the direction, iron on the interfacing and follow the direction of how I placed my interfacing. Turn your skirt inside out and sew along that direction to do your waistband. I'll go and do it now and bring it for you to see what the waistband looks like. So my waistband has been fixed on the skirt and everything looks good. That's the vent I'm showing you, and that is the waistband. That's I will put in a hook, an eye on the waistband, because I don't, or you can put a button. So I decided to put a hook and eye on the waistband, and this is the final look of the waistband. So lastly, I'll go ahead and do the hemming on the skirt. I just prefer to do a blind hem on the skirt, but if you don't know how to do a blind hem, just go ahead and sew your hemline depending on the hem allowance you made available to your skirt. For this particular bodice, the hem allowance we did was 1.5 inch. So go ahead and do the normal sew line on your skirt. But me, I'll choose a blind hem to make it more professional. I'm just trying to wrap up the whole hemming process on my skirt, and then I'll give it the final look of the skirt. And that's all we have for today's illustration. Finally, we have been able to put up the illustration together on how to sew a pencil skirt just like this I have. I hope you found this tutorial very helpful to go ahead and make your own pencil skirts. So this is just a final review of the skirt we made together. Please, if this video was helpful to you, don't forget to help me hit the subscribe button and share this video, like it, and produce your own skirt in a professional way. You can see the hemming was done by Blind Hem, and this skirt is so unique. It's available in my wardrobe setting. If you want to get one, you can always send me a message. But this is what the pencil skirt looks like when it's done professionally well.